Imagine, if you will, that you've decided to reclaim your driveway from the encroaching weeds. You invite three local contractors to quote for the job. The first, a cheery chap in a high-vis vest, quotes you £2,000. The second, slightly more professional, asks for 2,500. The third, who arrives in a brand new Mercedes, wants 3 grand to do the same job. Now, you want a good job, but you're also not a mug, so you opt for the middle ground, the £2,500 one. You expect, quite reasonably, that for the sum of £2,500, you'll receive a paved driveway within the agreed timescale. If that contractor then casually remarked, right, that'll be 5 grand and I won't be done for another 6 months, you wouldn't reach for your checkbook. You'd call for a solicitor. There'd be outrage. Local Facebook groups would be ablaze, and the contractor's name would be dragged through the mud and quite possibly through the courts. Yet the moment the client is the British government, this basic logic of commerce is set on fire and tossed out the window. In the world of UK megaprojects, a quote isn't a commitment, it's a polite suggestion, a fairy tale that we all agree to believe in just long enough to get the first spade in the ground. And to understand the sheer scale of this institutionalised madness, let's take a look at the current state of our most prestigious money pits as of March 2026. When HS2 was first touted in 2012, the price tag was a relatively modest £32.7 billion. By the time we reached the Great Reset of early 2026, the cost of the surviving London to Birmingham section alone had spiralled towards £66 billion in 2019 prices, with the total project spend, including the billions literally thrown away on the cancelled northern legs, exceeding £100 billion. Just to reiterate, the original price, 32.7, the expected price, £100 billion. We've spent £43.6 billion just to get to this point. And for that money, we could have bought every citizen in Birmingham a small fleet of luxury cars. Instead, the government is currently mulling over whether to make the trains slower just to save a bit on the electricity bill. And that's like buying a Ferrari and then asking the dealer to replace the engine with one from a lawnmower because you can't afford the petrol. Now, HS2 is bad, but it's not alone, and it's not the worst. Hinckley Point C. In 2016, the agreed price was £18 billion. As of this month, EDF has raised the estimate, which in today's money is actually closer to £48 billion. The completion date, originally 2025, has drifted to 2030 or 2031. The complexity of the fitting out stage has reportedly baffled engineers, proving once again that in British construction, we're world leaders at underestimating the plumbing. The restoration of the Palace of Westminster was estimated to cost £3.9 billion back in 2014. MPs are now suggesting that the final cost will be closer to £39 billion. The 2010 budget for the Crossrail project was £14.8 billion. The final cost was £19.1 billion. And as of right now, the Greater London Authority is still carrying roughly £3.9 billion in residual debt on that project. But for sheer unadulterated bureaucratic absurdity, nothing, I mean nothing, beats the Lower Thames Crossing. This project has managed to spend £300 million on planning alone. To achieve that feat, National Highways submitted a planning application consisting of 350,000 pages. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 250 times the length of the Bible. That planning costs more than most countries spend on entire motorways. Because we're so terrified of legal challenges, we over-engineer the paperwork until the project becomes a zombie, technically alive but moving at the speed of a tectonic plate. The cost per mile is now roughly £573 million. So why does this keep happening? The Treasury apparently has a fancy term for it. Optimism bias, they call it. The Green Book, the government's Bible for spending, actually requires officials to add a percentage to every quote to account for the fact that they are, by nature, delusional. They might add 44% or even 66% to a budget, effectively saying, we know this contractor is lying to us, so let's lie to ourselves by a slightly larger amount. But here's the kicker. The industry knows that. The contractors know the government has a buffer, so they submit suicide bids, prices so low they couldn't possibly cover the work, just to win the contract. And then once they've got the contract and the project is signed off, they start the variation order dance. Oh, we spotted a bat. That's 6 months of delay. Or the soil is slightly damp. We'll need another £1 billion for pumps. If you know your builder is going to double the price, and the builder knows you know, then the initial agreed price is a lie. It's a theatrical performance designed to satisfy a parliamentary committee that wants to hear a sensible number, even if that number is utterly meaningless. In early 2026, the Treasury reframed the Green Book to try and fix this, moving toward reference class forecasting. This is essentially the government admitting we can't trust our own estimates, so we'll just have to look at how much we messed up last time and assume we'll do it again. It's a damning indictment of an industry where the term fixed price means anything but, and on time is like an inside joke. If the man paving your driveway tried this, you would be rightly outraged. When the government allows it to happen, we just call it strategic infrastructure investment and hand over the next £10 billion. And the tragedy isn't just the wasted money or the fact that it's the British public that ends up footing the bill for this gross mismanagement. It's the fact that after spending £100 billion on a train line and £48 billion on a power station, we're still no closer to enjoying additional electrical power, and our journey from London to Birmingham is set to be just as slow as it ever was.